the people would immediately begin to change. Healings, different things would go on. And the pastor would always say to me, and all but a few, I've been ministering on this same very thing for 2 years. And you walk up there and the whole thing just explodes. You see, you become accustomed to the voice, don't you? You're accustomed to the ways. I said, well, thank you for the faithfulness of you speaking the truth. And I'm gone to the next one. So it was a glory for me because the power of God would fall strong and people would bring tape recorders and people would take notes and they would do all these things and invite all their friends and the places would be packed. And we're just like, man, can't we have 2 services a night and can't we do this and can't we do that? And the poor pastor's going, man, I'm preaching the same thing. I'm doing the same thing. They hardly even show up. What's the deal? It's because they're looking for something new. They were just getting the same thing in a different vessel. This is a sign of immaturity. So we know that they should be teachers by this time, which pretty much everyone in here should be, and need someone to teach you again. I too need to be taught again the first principles of the oracles of God, that he is a fact and that I cannot run away from that. And you have come to need milk. In other words, I really do need milk because the meat sometimes makes me go over the edge, upsets my stomach, my spiritual stomach. I feel sick inside. For everyone who partakes only of milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. And so if you take only milk, you can't handle food. Did you know that? You can't handle real meat. And you will cave. If somebody's on a milk diet, that's all they do is drink milk, you can whip them. They are not strong. Did you know that? You put them on a heavy protein diet and you have them skilled in the oracles of fighting, you probably can't whip them, huh? Yeah, that's what he's talking about. Same thing as I feel he was talking about as obedient the air. I won't go into that. That's another Pauline scripture, but I'm not sure. This is written by Paul. But solid food to those who are of full age. 14, let's go here. 13, let's go. For everyone who partakes only of milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness. So they're unskilled in what? What is that? It's the living word. It's the living word, what you walk out with. What you walk out with. Not what you hear with your ear, but what is faithful to your spirit. For everyone who partakes only of milk is unskilled in that particular word of righteousness, for he is a babe. In other words, he needs help more than he can give help. But solid food belongs to those who are of full age. In other words, it belongs. You can't eat it unless you are of full age. Is that correct? That's where the meat goes. That is, in other words, he's making explanation, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. So, the reason the solid food belongs to those who are of full age, that is, those who by reason of use. What's use? That's an easy one. It's a use. I use it. I own a car and I use it. But we're not going to let Lucia used the car today, are we, Dusty? No. Not because we don't like her. Not because of any reasons of that. Why? She's a baby. By reason of use, have their senses exercised. In other words, if you use it, it gets exercised, right? We lack exercise in the use of the senses that have to do with meat. And if you eat a lot of meat and don't exercise, you get sick of meat and you get really fat. Did you know that? Those who by reason of use their senses exercise to discern, and that is to what? What's discernment? They to understand the difference, not just to know. God is there's a gift of discernment. Did you know that? That gift comes straight from God. You know that. There's a lot of people that can read people. Right? And they can sell stuff and do all kinds of stuff, play right into the hands of whoever wants. They'll tell you what you want to hear so that you'll do what they want you to do. But discernment isn't that. Isn't reading people. It's hearing God. It's discerning both good and evil. Do you think that is important? It's important to discern what is good and to discern what is evil than to try to figure out what's good and figure out what's evil. Am I correct? Because a lot of things that look wrong really are right, aren't they? The whole aspect of the birth of Christ looks wrong. Right? I mean, God had him conceived in a woman who wasn't even married. That's wrong, isn't it? And she was engaged to another man. And he didn't bother to tell the whole village. And he didn't even tell Joseph before he did it. That's wrong, isn't it? I'm looking at that at a court case, and this is a bad deal. This is the wrong thing to do, God. Then he has him born in a little tiny cave in Bethlehem during a census. He should have held the census off so that at least Mary would have had an opportunity to give birth, her first child, probably 14 years old, at a place that would have been safe, like her hometown, and people that cared about her. But no, she goes to Bethlehem, and she goes during the census, and Bethlehem is now a little city, but because Joseph's lineage comes there, he has to go there, and there's a ton of people there, and there is no place for them to go. She ends up in a cave with Joseph and in labor pains with this baby. And anybody who says to me, well, I believe it was this glorious birth and it just everything warmed up and there was no pain felt while she gave birth, it's a crock. That's a crock. There is nothing about the life of Christ that is not exactly the way it is right here on earth.